I didn't set out to be unfaithful. That's what I keep telling myself. It started with a smile, then a conversation, and before I could stop it, it became a second life. One I didn't want, and yet, one I kept going back to. My name is Claire. I'm 34. I've been married to Michael for 9 years, together for 11. We have 2 kids, Henry, 7, and Ava, 4. On paper, our life was almost ideal. A lovely home in the suburbs, a black lab named Riley, weekend trips to the lake, Sunday pancakes. But what people couldn't see were the cracks, tiny hairline fractures that had begun to form long before I ever met Adam. Michael is a good man, dependable, hardworking, honest. He makes our mortgage payments on time, never misses a parent-teacher meeting, brings me flowers on our anniversary, but somewhere along the way, our marriage became more about logistics than love, more about routine than romance. We stopped talking about anything real. Our conversations became checklists, our kisses became habits, our connection faded like a photograph left in the sun. I told myself it was normal, that all couples go through phases, that after kids, intimacy shifts, that the fatigue, the stress, the chaos, it was all temporary. Then I met Adam. It started at work. I'm a copy editor for a publishing company, and Adam was a freelance author contracted to write a series of articles on modern relationships. He had this way of speaking, measured, curious, direct. Unlike Michael, who often preferred silence, Adam asked questions, deep ones. And then he listened. It began innocently enough. Coffee meetings turned into long lunches. We talked about art, travel, books. He made me laugh in a way I hadn't in years. He made me feel seen, appreciated, desired. The first time he touched my hand, it was by accident, but I didn't pull away. I remember feeling electricity in that split second of contact, something that made my skin feel awake again, alive. He didn't know I was married at first. I wore a ring, yes, but I'd left out that detail in early conversations, too flattered by his interest, too scared to define myself by a title that no longer felt honest. When I finally told him, he went quiet. Then he said, "That explains the hesitation." I should have ended it right there. Instead, I let it grow. The first time we slept together was at a hotel during a weekend writers' conference in Chicago. I'd told Michael it was mandatory for work, and in a way, it was. But not like this. Adam and I had spent the whole day in workshops, always sitting close but never touching. The tension between us was unbearable. That night, he knocked on my door. We didn't speak. We didn't undress in haste. It was slow, gentle, devastating. I cried afterward, not from guilt, but from the terrifying realization that I had crossed a line I couldn't uncross. The worst part? I didn't feel regret. I felt relief, like I'd reclaimed some forgotten version of myself. For the next 8 months, I lived a double life. At home, I made lunches, folded laundry, attended dance recitals. I kissed my husband goodnight and said, "I love you," like it was punctuation. But on the days I was with Adam, I was someone else. Someone lighter, braver, desired. We met in bookstores, parks, sometimes his apartment. He never pressured me, never asked for more than I could give. But with every meeting I slipped further away from the life I had built. I kept waiting for someone to notice. For Michael to look me in the eye and ask, "Where have you gone?" But he didn't. He was too busy, too trusting, too tired. The guilt became a fog I couldn't shake. I began to see it in my children's eyes even though they didn't know. I saw it in every smile from Michael, every small act of kindness that I no longer deserved. I tried to end it, more than once. Adam understood. He always said, "You don't owe me anything, Claire." And yet, I kept going back. I couldn't help myself. It wasn't just sex, it was intimacy. It was the freedom to be honest without fear. But honesty has a cost. One evening I came home later than usual. Michael was sitting at the dining room table with his laptop open, his face pale, expression unreadable. "I saw the texts," he said. The air left my lungs. I didn't deny it. I didn't have the strength. I just sat down across from him and whispered, "I'm sorry." He didn't shout, didn't cry, just stared at me like he didn't recognize who I was anymore. "How long?" 8 months. "Do you love him?" I hesitated. Not because I didn't know the answer, but because I did. "I don't know," I said. He nodded. "I think you do." The weeks that followed were a blur. We told the kids I was going to stay with my sister for a while. I packed a bag. Michael didn't try to stop me. He just kissed our daughter on the forehead and turned away. At my sister's place, I collapsed. For days. I didn't eat. I barely spoke. Adam called, but I didn't answer. I needed space, from everything. Eventually, Michael and I met with a counselor, not to reconcile, but to talk, to unpack what had happened. He asked questions I couldn't answer. I gave apologies he couldn't accept. But there was closure in the wreckage. a strange sort of clarity. It's been almost a year now. Michael and I are officially separated. We share custody of the kids. We speak civilly. We even laugh sometimes. Adam and I, we tried for a while, but relationships born from broken promises rarely last. Eventually we ended things, not with bitterness but with gratitude. He showed me what I was missing, what I needed, but he couldn't give it to me without me destroying something else. I live alone now. A modest apartment, quiet with a few plants and too much silence. But it's honest. For the first time in a long time I'm honest. With myself, with others. Sometimes I see Michael at school events. We nod, exchange updates. There's a sadness there, but also a strange peace. I'll always carry the weight of what I did. I betrayed a man who trusted me, a family who counted on me. But I also uncovered truths I'd buried under years of routine and fear. Infidelity doesn't just ruin marriages, it ruins illusions. And maybe, in some painful way, that's a kind of freedom. Would I do it differently if I could? Yes, 1,000 times. But this is the life I have now, a life built on truth, not comfort. And for that, I'm learning to forgive myself. Healing is a strange, winding road. Some mornings I wake up with a clear head, make coffee, journal, do yoga. Other days I sit on the floor of the shower wondering how I let it all fall apart. But with time, things grow quieter. My relationship with Henry and Ava has strengthened in unexpected ways. They are young, resilient, and wonderfully forgiving. I spend more time with them now, not just as a mother, but as a person trying to be better. I take them hiking, paint with them on weekends, teach them to bake cookies from scratch. We laugh, we mess up, we try again. Michael and I have figured out co-parenting in a rhythm that feels respectful. He started dating someone new, a kind woman named Elena, a nurse. The first time he introduced her to the kids, I wanted to scream, not out of jealousy, but grief. Grief for the family that once was. But when I saw Henry take her hand and Ava show her a drawing, I felt something else too. Relief. Maybe even hope. I started therapy. Real therapy. Not just one-off sessions or online advice threads. I began confronting more than just the affair. I unpacked childhood wounds, my fear of abandonment, my perfectionism, my deep craving to be understood without having to perform. And slowly, I began writing again. Not just editing other people's words, but my own. Personal essays, poetry, messy journal entries. I wrote a story about a woman unraveling and rebuilding herself, and to my surprise it got published in a small literary magazine. Adam reached out recently. Just a short message. I hope you're well. I stared at it for hours. Then deleted it without replying. Some ghosts are better left uninvited. I'm not looking for a new relationship right now. I'm learning to be enough on my own. It's not always easy. Loneliness creeps in like cold air under the door. But I've stopped running from it. Sometimes I even welcome it. Let it sit beside me like an old friend. This is not a redemption story, not really. There's no clean ending, no tidy arc. But there is growth. There is truth. There is the painful, humbling process of rebuilding. I don't wear my wedding ring anymore, but I keep it in a drawer. Not as a reminder of what I lost, but of what I once promised. I broke that promise, but I'm making new ones now. To my children, to my future, to myself, I will be better. And that starts every single day with the decision to live in the truth, even when it hurts, even when it's lonely, even when it means admitting that the person I was is not the person I want to be, but maybe, just maybe, that's enough.